So I jump out of the truck all, frustrated. And there's this white stuff all over the parking lot. And I'm like, ugh. Like, I look around. I was like, was there a fire on the flight line? He's like, Jennifer, no fire. This is snow. I cried like the kind of cry that what you only see in movies. Got in the car, pulled up my little antenna, flipped my phone and was like, Mom, I made a mistake. Come get me right now. And she's like, I'm not coming to get you. You're in Canada now. And I'm like, what?
So what's up?
Nothing, man. Nothing. Yeah. Just super excited. I was like all nervous today. I had to take a power nap.
Yeah.
I'm up early.
Dude, I took a power nap yesterday and I thought I slept for 4 hours. Because I talked to Eric Wagner, the city manager.
How was that?
Man, I'm going to tell you, I was beyond intimidated. I was like, this guy used to be the deputy garrison commander at Fort Drum.
I'd have mispronounced it. So you're one step ahead.
Yeah. So I'm like, I even asked him, I was like, dude, how do you pronounce? Because luckily he led into like he was from Holland or something.
What?
Or his family was. And he's like, yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. So how do you pronounce your last name? And he's like, it's Eric Wagner. I was like,
Wagner.
And it's some Franciscus, some kind of crazy first name.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's wild.
I was so intimidated when I did the interview with Sarah Campo Pierce. Because I've followed her career, just by living here.
Yeah.
And so when we did the Women's Network Wednesday, I was like so excited to meet her and to talk to her. And I had all these questions. And I had like 20 questions planned for like 10 minutes. I'm like, boo, you need to chill. You're not going to get all that. Now you're just looking a little bit like a stalker. Yeah. Like, it's just relax. So I had to like go in and kind of like figure out the things that I thought were interesting, of course, but that were interesting to that I thought maybe would like.
People would find it.
Right. Yeah. Like some kind of like commonality between us.
You're doing a really good job with the whole Women's Wednesday thing. That's really cool. You've set a niche. There's not a lot of influencers and it's young enough to do that.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean because when I came here, I was like same as you. I was new here. I didn't know anybody. I moved here originally from Cleveland, but I moved here from North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's like night and day, as you well know. And I felt kind of like on the outside of things a little bit. Like everybody was super nice. I didn't have any problems. Like, I talk like to a million people. I talk too much sometimes. So I didn't have a problem making friends. Yeah. But I just didn't have like a connection where it was like my circle of friends. You know what I mean? Like people that I could like, those are my people. I had people I knew, but I didn't have anybody that I was like, I'm going to call this person when I'm feeling low or whatever.
I've honestly, I know exactly what you mean because I felt like, and I mean, now I've got some people that I know are good friends, but I still don't feel that connection that I had with people. Right. Like, but I know that they're really good friends. And sometimes you just go home at night and you're like, oh, I don't know how to connect with these people.
Like, what was that? Sometimes I'm kind of like, what kind of relationship is this? Like, what is that? Like, what am I doing that is kind of like, I'm still a part of it, but I'm kind of like withdrawn at the same time. Yeah. So over the years and all the jobs that I was a bartender, I've always been a bartender. So that was my way of like being.
How long have you been here?
Oh God, I moved here in like 2002, dude. What? Yeah. Then I moved away to Virginia Beach. Oh, wow. Then I went to Ohio and then I came back. Yeah. Virginia Beach. Ooh, not for me. I would die there if you'd let me. I was a young kid and was like, this is the best time of my life. But then I came back here and the same people, people grew up here. This is my hometown now because I've been here for 20 something years. But like, it didn't feel that way initially. So when I came back and these same people that I was friends with before are still here and they're evolving and they're becoming, participating members of the community, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to have a little more of a connection because their permanence made me feel comfortable. Yeah. And then I wanted to know more about why they wanted to stay. What made them feel the ties that they felt to this place? And then I got to know the women that are on the Women's Network Wednesday that I've worked with, that I've come across with in the schools or that I've, served their favorite Cosmo to. And I was like, how can I make the women that are just moving to this area see how connected we are, and don't waste the time that I wasted not making that connection, because they're so available to do it and they want to help you. Right. And that doesn't go just for women. I'm just putting it from the perspective of.
And I totally understand that, because my wife, she is very not outgoing, right? And so she's dealing with issues where not having as many friends as she went to school with. So that what you're putting out there, I'm trying to
have her come in the studio. Love her too. You know what I mean? No, just come in and we have these different things that we do there where, we highlight certain businesses, but at the same time, it's really just getting to know members of the community, which is why I like doing what I do, is because, like you said, you got to find those connections with people. Yeah. And for me, that's the easiest way, is to talk to them.
And then what I was getting into was, I think that what you're doing and the people who are actually consuming it and I don't know how to explain it. Maybe some women not all, but have that kind of issue where they're not as outgoing as some of the guys are. Yeah. And making friends, you know what I mean?
Right. It's a hard world for women. It's a hard world because we are our own worst critics, but we also have that maternal instinct for most of us, a lot of us. That's we want to make everybody happy. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that we don't have to ask for too much help, be too much of a burden, do all the things that we're supposed to do, and all look fabulous while we're doing it. You know what I mean?
What you're doing is these women that are at home or whatever at work and who are new to the area, like at Fort Drum and such like that. I mean, I think it's a good thing. It kind of gives them, you know what I mean? It gives them oh, well, there's somebody that's putting in the work for me. You know what I mean? There's something I can listen to and actually reach out.
All of us so relatable, man, woman, whatever. It's the different stages in our lives. I was just having this conversation with this random person at Paddock that I met that was the nicest person. I was she looked at me and she was I haven't seen anybody that I wanted to have a conversation with. And she was for some reason, I just wanted to come over and talk to you. I was hey, come sit down. Because I love to talk. So we got to chit-chatting, and I was our ages came up, and she was how old are you? I was I'm 42. And she goes, oh my God, I'm 41. I go, don't you find it wild that now that we're in our 40s, we're just trying to evolve and figure out this chapter of our life. And we're not scared about getting older. We're excited because it's every decade I unlock this part of my brain that I'm what?
Yeah.
Who is that? How did I not know that before? It's these weird life experiences that as I get older, I don't feel any different. I just feel more engaged and more in touch with the people around me. So this opportunity with Women's Network Wednesday, I get to talk to women in all different, evolutions of their life and all different stages in business and in life and in marriage and in motherhood and all of those things. But it all comes to the same thing, is that we are all going through it at the same pace, different paces, but we're going through the same stages. And to hear someone who's wildly successful be I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm just trying to figure it out, is relaxing, because you're oh, she doesn't have all the answers, but it looks like she's got it all together. Yeah. So you're not just trying to keep up anymore. You're relating to someone who's already been through that stage of your life, and hopefully it helps you to slow down, take a minute, and be I got this. In the morning, I do a radio show now, and they're oh my God, it's so.
So how did that happen? How did you get into the
bartending?
Let me go back a little bit further. Where did you go to high school at?
Ravenna High School in Ravenna, Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yeah, just 30 minutes south of Cleveland. North, south.
30 minutes away from Cleveland.
I don't know.
Yeah, 30 minutes away from Cleveland.
Yeah, 30 minutes from Cleveland. So I tell everybody I'm from Cleveland because. Yeah. Nobody knows.
Well, then I'm from Charlotte then, because I live 35 minutes from Charlotte.
You know what I'm saying? If you were to rifle off a little town in North Carolina, I may or may not know because I live there. But likelihood of me knowing Charlotte is
yeah.
So, but we spent a lot of time in Cleveland. My dad worked as a computer programmer for our local hospital, and my mother was a school teacher who wrote grants for the schools, and they both were heavily involved in politics. And I got to do a lot of traveling and meet a lot of people, and did pageants and all this crazy stuff. So I was always but never really found the outlet to where I could use that as a profession. Bartending was the closest thing. I could be behind the bar and talk to people and make people laugh and juggle and do weird things that would make people happy, and then go home and be my cats and my plants. You know what I mean? Like be this like extrovert on the outside and have a lot of fun and meet friends, but then go home and hide.
So what happened right after high school?
I moved to North Carolina with my high school sweetheart, as we all do, because those dress blues.
Yeah.
And I got married young, very young, and coached a basketball team for the Provost Marshal's office at Cherry Point.
Really?
Yeah, that was like the coolest thing I've ever done. I mean, a bunch of guys and ages like 20 to 30 something calling me coach. And I was 18.
Guys basketball team?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was a very good basketball player. These days, I don't know, but back in the day, yeah. So that was, you know, I chose to do that for a long time, lived down there for a couple of years. Me and my ex split up. We were young. We were just young babies. You know what I mean? That was I wanted to get away from where I grew up for the simple fact of my identity was sports and pageants, you know? So it was like, she's pretty and she can play sports. And that was pretty much what I was capable of. But I was like, I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
You know, cut my nose off to spite my face quite literally. And was like, who needs college?
Yeah.
30 years later, you know, your local bartender's on the radio. I don't know. It just was a crazy more than 30 years. I don't like it. It's getting there. It's getting there. But yeah, it was.
I'm 38, by the way. So I mean, I'm creeping up. You know?
It's not the same. For men, it's very different.
Well,
you guys get to be all pepper, salt and pepper, and gray and distinguished.
Yeah. That's why I wear this hat all the time.
Don't be hat fishing. That's not fair. But yeah, then I moved to I was in North Carolina, coached, met my ex-husband from here. It's getting a little Elizabeth Taylor. Mm-hmm. But he was from Watertown. We met down there at the gym where I was coaching. And he was like, do you want to go to New York? And I'm like, yeah, I love New York. Are you kidding me? Like, well, I'm meant for New York.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows if you're not from New York. Listen, I'm going to tell you, nobody knows if you're not from New York that this is not New York, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm down in North Carolina.
Believe me, I know exactly what you're talking
like
about.
I
was down there when my wife was like, I was working at a car dealership when I met her, and she said, hey, my family owns a car dealership in New York called this FX something. I was like, the heck is that? I was like, all right, whatever.
Isn't it funny, our own little bubbles? Yeah. All these little bubbles that we have, everybody's like, FX, you know? You go to Chicago and they're like, who? You know what I mean? But it's crazy. It's crazy.
But so you moved up to New York?
Yeah. Oh, I moved up to New York, and I came here with my ex-husband, the second one, and it was... I called my mom. I came up like right around Mother's Day, and was in a U-Haul, and I had like on a little bikini top and flip-flops and shorts because it was May, and we just drove from North Carolina, right? Yeah. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So I fell asleep somewhere entering into New York. I'm not really sure where, but I woke up at Syracuse Mall in the U-Haul, and my ex-husband was like, we got to go in here and get you some clothes. And I'm like, I don't need you buying me clothes. Like, I can do what I want, wear what I want. All 19, feeling fine. And he's like, it's not because of what you're wearing. It's because it's not. You're just going to freeze. And I'm like, whatever. So I jump out of the truck all, frustrated. And there's this white stuff all over the parking lot. And I'm like, ugh. Like, I look around. I was like, was there a fire on the flight line? He's like, what flight line? This is the mall. And I'm like, the foam on the flight line for the fires. He's like, Jennifer, no fire. This is snow. I cried like the kind of cry that you only see in movies, and got in the car, pulled up my little antenna, flipped my phone, and was like, Mom, I made a mistake. Come get me right now. She's like, I'm not coming to get you. You're in Canada now. I'm like, what? So, of course, like, I run inside, and I have to put on a flannel over my bikini top in the snow and get into the Syracuse Mall, and everyone is looking at me with, like, three heads. They're like, what are you? Who is this girl? Why are you wearing a bikini top, flip-flops? It's snowing. And I go to Old Navy and buy some clothes, crying the whole time. And I asked the cash register person, I was like, or the attendant, I was like, hey, is this like a normal thing? And he's like, not really. I mean, it gets cold, but it doesn't usually snow on Mother's Day. And I'm like, well, that's refreshing. Is this really Canada? Or he was like, well, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to Watertown. He goes, oh, no, honey, that's Canada. This is Syracuse. I was like, oh, no, what do you mean it's more north? And he's like, oh, yeah, an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm like, that's it. It's the end of my life. But it wasn't. It was so not. Like, as soon as I got here, I was such a cliche welcome to New Yorker. I had on this white wife beater that said, I love New York, with a sequence heart. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the whole nine. I go down to Fat Boys, a bar that used to be over there. I don't even know if it's called, what's the street called now? It's off of Factory Street. Anyways, Fat Boys, the Johnson brothers and their dad. And it was this little hole-in-the-wall bar that played like heavy metal music. And Al Soluri used to sing with this band called Dismantled down there. Had the biggest crush on those guys. I thought they were like the best band ever. So I would go down there all like, yay, it's New York. And they're like, who is this skinny black bitch? Or what is her deal? You know what I mean? Like, It was just like, I felt so comfortable, but at the same time was like, oh, I don't know. It's not the New York that I was envisioning.
It's still weird.
Yeah. And it was like more like home than it was New York to me. Like where I come from in Ravenna, it's like right outside of Ravenna. We're four-wheeling, we're, bonging beers and having bonfires and, we're having Friday night light parties. It's like the same thing as it is here.
Yeah.
So I was just a little bit like, oh, okay, this is doable. You guys like Dave Matthews Band too? Cool. Yeah.
I was surprised everybody likes country music up here.
Yeah. I listened to country music in Ohio because we had the Boot Scootin' Saloon and it was the only place you could go country line dancing under the age of 18. It was like a juice bar, it's the most ridiculous thing. But when I got up here, I was like, there's no like saloon. There's no place to go country line dancing.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, no. And I'm like, but y'all listen to nothing but country music. Yeah. So like, I don't understand.
We're going to have, there's some work to do.
There's a little bit.
There's a little work.
Wait, was it Full Circle? Is it Full Circle? They do a country line dancing, but it's like on a Tuesday. Not trying to twisty-turny on a Tuesday.
Yeah. There's just been insane things.
I was almost carjacked as a kid in Cleveland. I stole my parents' car like an idiot.
Yeah, you were telling me.
I was like, I'm going to go out to the clubs. We had I was young and stupid. And I thought I could get away with anything. And I took my parents' car downtown to Cleveland with my girls in it and went to go have drinks. I stopped at a stoplight and a guy reached right in and tried to finagle me out of the vehicle. And I can't even tell you, I don't remember what it was like or what exactly happened. I just remember his hand coming in and feeling him trying to open the door. I just punched it, man. I don't know if I dragged him. I don't know what happened. He was just no longer in the vehicle, and I was gone and I pulled over and I ran a light. I mean, the whole nine, what do you do? It's just fight or flight. And I'm fast as so I took off and my friends were like panicking and I called my dad on the car phone because that's how old I am and told on myself. It was like, picked it right up and was like, doot. I just got carjacked in Cleveland. He's like, in whose car? I'm like, I'm calling from your phone.
Yeah.
Speaking
of Cleveland, what the heck happened to Joe Flacco last year?
Dude, I don't know. I'm so removed from my quarterback situation in Cleveland that I'm invested now in my tight ends, my running backs, my defensive line. Don't talk to me about the quarterback.
I was on the bandwagon of Joe Flacco.
It's so... I was a Baker girl, I was a Baker Mayfield girl. He was such a fighter for us, and he put his body on the line and he was such a team player and he got everybody so motivated and they would he was like our Mel Gibson. He was out there bravehearting and everybody's like,
yeah.
And then they were like, see you later. I'm like,
came to Carolina and they tossed him again.
Crap.
Which I'm guessing nobody from Carolina, they'll hear the podcast, but dude, I think it's all of our owners.
Yeah. Cleveland for sure. Our owners, I don't even know. To be quite frankly, I don't even know who they are. And I don't want to because I feel like they just let us down so many times. And we lost our team. We lost our team to Baltimore. And when we lost our team to Baltimore, they went and won the Super Bowl that following year. Sir, never have I thought my city was going to burn. Like everybody was there was one man hated more than anyone in the world. And it was the owner, Art Modell of our team.
Yeah.
And it was chaos there I'm not even kidding. Like there are people paid to put billboards up of him and his face melting. You know what I mean? Like people hated him. Mm-hmm. And my family, I grew up, my dad, he put me in every sport known to man because sports was what he loved and it's what we connected over. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what a lot of kids and their dads bond over. But for us, that was like the thing. And so we went to all the Browns games at the old stadium. I went to all the Cavs games. I went to all the Indians games. And I grew up living in Cleveland sports. So when all of that happened and we lost that team and they went to Baltimore after being a diehard Browns fan and suffering through the dog pound and the crappiest weather with the lake rats, I was like, Art Modell can burn also. You know what I mean? And so, and everybody says when being a Cleveland fan, obviously the Steelers are supposed to be our, arch rivals or whatever. Right. It's a Raven for me. It's a Raven all day. I'm like, I don't care about the Steelers. I mean, whatever, it's the Steelers, but the Ravens can just drop off the flag, just buy. That's it. Glad you asked, right?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say one thing on teams rebuilding, right?
Yeah.
So I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. Huge Atlanta Braves fan. I watched them suck bad. You know what I mean?
I had a friend in high school who was a Braves fan.
And like we would just root for a base hit, you know, and then they got rid of the coach, they got rid of all these star players, and then I saw the guy from the front office, whatever manager, whatever he was, he came on and sat down with the announcers and said, "Yeah, we got this plan," and I was like, "Bull." You know,
right? Like
whatever. And then a few years later, we win a World Series. Yeah. I was like, holy moly. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I saw this guy who was a Braves fan, so I watched the Braves because he watched the Braves.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him now. That was a long time ago. But yeah, I was a kid who was like, go Braves. And I'm like, you're Cleveland. You live in Cleveland. The Indians at the time, we had Albert Bell, Jim Thome. Like,
they got similar colors.
Yeah, similar colors. But I was like, you know, it was the 90s. The Indians were killing it, man.
We played them in the World Series.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I don't remember how it panned out. I got to be honest.
I think that's the one we beat them.
Probably.
And then we lost Cleveland, next year to the Yankees, and I hated the Yankees.
Cleveland is always like right there. You know what I mean? We're just like, here. And then we can't quite reach the top, except for the Cavs when we won the championship. I was out golfing because I thought, yeah, right. You know what I mean? I'm from Cleveland. We get our hopes up for nothing all the time. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to watch this last game and be mad again. I'm going to go golfing, catch a little buzz. At the end of the game, we lose. I won't feel so upset about it. So then my friend messaged me. I was at Bedford Creek, and she was at the Anchor. It was the former Anchor. It's burnt down now. It was crap. So sad. But she was like, come down here. The Cavs are going to win. And I'm like, don't toy with my emotions.
Yeah.
You know? And she's like, no, seriously. So we get down there, and sure enough, we're ahead. And I'm like, no, we're like comfortably ahead. And like, it's like almost like pre-celebratory, but as like a Cleveland fan of any sport, don't. Because the Browns have literally like fumbled the ball and run it back. It's terrible things have happened. So I'm like watching it. And all of a sudden it happens. They win. And my phone rings immediately, and it's my dad. And he's like, are you watching? And tell me that I'm not in a bar, sitting on the floor of a bar, crying on the phone with my dad. Just like, yeah, it's happened. I'm watching it. This is crazy. And that was as close as we've ever gotten to like something really good. The Browns are never going to do it for us. I don't want to say that.
I don't know. I think you might have jinxed them into a win this year.
Hey, I'll take it.
Well, look, that's about all we got for time.
That's awesome. Thank you. I had such a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Super fun.